A lot of people are talking about Spain, Portugal, Malta, Greece for the EU options, but I think Italy is going to be the main winner in 2026. It's got flat tax, it's got world-class lifestyle, it's got accessible residency options, and you get real estate for €1. This is the place to watch. Hi, it's Jeremy from the Millionaire Migrant. So for 20 years, I have been exploring everything around investing overseas, tax residencies, and citizenships. Today, we're going to talk about Italy because that is a big winner in 3 of those topics. So let's start with the Italian flat tax regime, which is a lot of people know about, and it's really taking off given the exodus of high net worth people leaving from the UK and the private equity market. But essentially, it's €200,000 a year for one person, and then depending on the family size, it would increment. But it used to be €100,000. We have a couple of clients who did it back when it was €100,000. Now it's 200,000. And now they're saying they're going to potentially raise it to 300,000 because of the demand that is coming from overseas. Again, this is a massive migration of millionaires all around the world. We'll talk about the people who aren't millionaires or aren't yet millionaires in a bit later down this chart. But essentially, this is an extremely attractive option for a lot of clients because you're essentially making sure that any income that you make outside of Italy is not taxed for 15 years, provided you pay this fixed amount every year. But there are also other options. There's a 7% flat tax rate for pensioners. So you've got retirees moving from, largely speaking, Northern European countries that have very high tax thresholds on, let's say, France, Germany, Scandinavia. They're moving to, they used to be in Portugal, some still go to Portugal, but now they're going to Italy because you've got 7% flat on all that foreign income. So that's another option, and that's valid for 10 years. But then you've also got a third category, which is for business individuals. That one, if you're just starting out a new business, you'd only have to pay 5% for 5 years on the revenue that you're generating. So that is very attractive if you just want to go and get the best of both worlds, living in Italy, but also running your business globally. And then it's got another option that is for professionals, which is not really our main category of client, but that one will give you an exemption of up to 90% on the Italian sourced income. We have processed for footballers in the past, so that's something that usually affects those guys. So those are the tax residency plays that you'll be looking at if you were looking to move to Italy. Now let's talk about the residency plays. And Italy is really unique is that you can overlay all of this on top of one another in quite a nice way. So you can have, we try to propose to people where you can kind of have a residency in different parts of the world and have a corporate structure or a trust. You can also generate income from other parts of the world. But here in Italy, you kind of get these 3 on top. So let's talk about residency. Residency, you've got the elective residence visa. So this is the retiree or financially independent individual. So you're FIRE, so financially independent and retire early. You've got those people, semi-retired. This is for those category of people, which means that if you can demonstrate a stable income of €31,000 a year as a single, 38 for a couple, and that income has to be passive, by the way. This is really important. So we can help you to structure this, that the income is coming passive. So that could be royalties, dividends, pensions, rentals, that type of thing. That's a very attractive residency visa for you. That's the elective residency visa. Next up, we've got a digital nomad visa. There's tons of these around the world. Italy ranks kind of high. Spain has one. Portugal has one. Those, Indonesia as well. But this one here is remote workers earning at least €28,000 a year. It's valid for 1 year, so it's renewable. And that one you need to demonstrate a proof of accommodation and insurance. Just like the elective residency, that is something that you can increase up to, that leads to PR after 5 years. Then you've got the investor visa. So this one here is being tagged as like the Dolce visa. It's €250,000 that you need to invest in a startup. The underlying asset could be real estate. So we've noticed a lot of those hybrid projects coming in. You can invest also in an Italian company, but that goes to 500. If you want to invest in philanthropic projects, that's 1 million. Or you can invest 2 million in government bonds. So a lot of clients are actually taking up this option because they've looked at how much you're paying for Portugal, which would be a kind of a benchmark, or Greece, and saying, you know what, I'd rather take Italy. I'm more familiar with it. I see a part of citizenship being more attractive and more attainable than learning Greek or Portuguese. But just on one point, the citizenship by descent. So this used to be incredibly attractive. A lot of Americans, Argentinians, and I think it was Brazilians as well, would take advantage of this. It was very, let's just say it, easy to be able to obtain Italian nationality. Unfortunately, they tightened that down. I think it was about 9 months ago, around the beginning of the year. Maybe it was in the second quarter. But now it's a lot tougher to obtain the Italian citizenship by descent. It's still there. It's just not as easy as it was. So essentially, if you had a parent or grandparent who was an Italian citizen who lived in Italy for 2 years after becoming an Italian citizen and before your birth, then you would be able to apply for the Italian citizenship by descent. So a lot more restrictive than before, where you could kind of just go back multiple generations. We process Italian citizenship by descent for a lot of clients. Even myself, I actually got it myself from France. And that's something we also extend to clients. A lot of the programs right now are kind of either Ireland or Eastern Europe countries. We help clients. Sometimes even we have African clients, so like Kenyan, South African, looking for British citizenship by descent as well. So yeah, that's something that we offer to as part of our clients. I personal experience did it, and so we took it from there. I think the main thing about Italy that a lot of people are attracted to is that familiarity. So when you're looking to leave UK, US, other parts of the world, you want to move around, it's usually a bit of a no-brainer to kind of move towards Europe. And then from Europe, everyone knows Italy because, of course, it's a stunningly beautiful country historically. Everyone knows the South Coast and Amalfi, but even got Puglia in the southeast as well. But as you go further up, if you're interested, you can go to two of the smallest micronations in the world. You've got San Marino, you've got the Vatican City. Then you get up to the northeast, and then you get to Venice, and then you move across. You've got Florence, beautiful city, and then you've got obviously the lakes if you want to be close to France. And then of course you've got Milan, where it's really booming in the real estate, which is the part I'm going to come to next. In terms of cost of living, it's relatively affordable compared to a lot of other places. I think a lot of that is from the depopulation problem that they're facing in Italy, which again will come to the real estate part as well. Is like, why is real estate so affordable? Why is rent relatively affordable? It's because a lot of Italians have been leaving the country. Now, this is one of the reasons why Italy is ticking all the boxes to try and find programs that motivate people to come and move across. So either for a talent incentive or a capital incentive or a tax incentive. And I think it's working for a lot of these places because essentially it's like, as long as you don't mind the frustration of dealing with Italian bureaucracy, which is truly famous. I mean, a lot of the administration comes from the Roman times. It's incredibly frustrating, but generally speaking, it's pretty violent. Crime is pretty rare. The smaller towns and rural towns have a very slow pace of life. So for those people who are kind of retired and semi-retired, it really works for them. I think also the fact that you've got the ability to be able to invest in some of these properties at incredibly low prices. In some instances, everyone knows about, buying a house for €1. It's not as straightforward. It's €1. You need to commit to about 50,000 euros in renovation costs within a certain period of time. But the fact is, it's like you can get real estate in Italy for about 800 euros per square meter. So it's incredibly affordable for a Western European country. So you put all these components together and people are very attracted about that Italian lifestyle. The downside is people get very frustrated because of course you're not there on holiday where you're staying in a hotel. Now you're actually having to stay there for a period of time and having to deal with all the paperwork involved. Now that is probably one of the main factors that drives people away. Of course, I'm talking about 800 euros per square meter. That's southern Italy, rural. You're talking about Sardinia, Sicily, beautiful islands. I highly recommend going there. The crystal clear water is something to die for. But knowing that you can get property there, look, it's not the most liquid market. It's obviously not a capital city, but for what you're paying, for what you're getting in return, you can get all that amazing island life at a very affordable price. But then once you start to go north, because Italy is a very weird one. If you look at a lot of the data, the southern Italy is almost like a separate country to northern Italy in terms of GDP, industrialization, in terms of the economy. If you're looking at this chart here, if you get to the major cities, Rome, Milan, mainly these two, you're looking at 3.5 up to 6,000 euros, and that just keeps going up and up. And we've got a lot of our clients who've signed up with our Millionaire Migrant Blueprint who want us to give them a holistic strategy, taking care of their tax, their real estate investments. Quite a few have actually asked about investing in Milan, even though they're not actually looking to spend any time there. They see that there is those hubs that are attracting capital around the world, which is, let's start with Miami, UAE, Singapore. Even I was with a friend of mine yesterday. He said Hong Kong is now getting capital coming back in the same way when, Hong Kong was handed over to the Chinese and the Chinese started to squeeze people and there was all the pushback and the civil unrest. They also went to the UK. Those people now are saying, actually, you know what? The UK is actually not doing that great. And they're heading back to Hong Kong. So Hong Kong is now becoming, as it was, is a magnet for millionaires. And Milan is one of those places as well. We've heard about property price increases in Poland and Romania and Montenegro, Croatia to a certain extent as well. But the thing is is Italy hasn't really gone up that much in the southern parts. So you can still buy a family home for under 150,000 euros. Look, it's not an investment play, but knowing that you could have a luxury villa, maybe not Tuscany or Lake Como, that will come at a higher price, but that's fantastic. Your neighbor will be George Clooney. But if you want to be in the south, in terms of accessibility, you've got EasyJet, you've got Ryanair, you've got obviously Alitalia, not my favorite airline, but even in the UAE, in Dubai, you've got direct flights in the summer to Sardinia and Sicily. So you've got accessibility. I think it's more of a passion project. I'm kind of thinking about it myself. It's just like, you know what, this could be something that we can get away for the summer. If you think renovation is stressful, I'm going through a massive renovation, right? Oh, actually, I'm doing 3 or 4 right now, but one of them is proving a massive headache. I don't know if I could even have the strength to be able to process a renovation in Italy, knowing just how stressful renovation is in other parts of the world. I'm sure a lot of you are asking about what's happening with the €1 program, where you buy the house and you get approval from the local municipality, from the mayor, to buy the property. Or actually, you do have, they're mainly in Sicily and Sardinia. Sardinia is not so much now because that's kind of picked up quite a lot in price. They don't really need it as much. Sicily, they still do. They've sold over 125 homes. They got €7 million in total investments to Sicily. But the conditions are incredibly restrictive, and you know, I think it's probably best to just buy in the open market. Therefore, you won't have the limitations, you won't have the paperwork, and you won't have the requirement to allocate a certain amount of capital. You have a lot of leeway about how much you can actually invest in that property, but it will require a lot of time on the ground, a lot of trips back and forth, and I think that's something that you need to put into your overall budget. The properties are often in remote areas, you've got limited services, the renovation budgets are talking around 20 to 50,000 euros, and the deadlines, as I mentioned, are very restrictive. And again, what is the liquidity there? Well, there's a reason they're selling properties at that price, is because there isn't any liquidity. They're actually facing a depopulation, as I referred to earlier. I've noticed recently a lot more questions around Italy, and again, it's because of familiarity, it's because of the Mediterranean lifestyle. Longevity is a really big factor right now in a lot of our clients' way of thinking. They're ultra high net worth and high net worth, a millionaire migrant. So those people, look, it's not really about the money, it's about how long I can actually enjoy the fruits of my labor. And I think that's a question that leans towards kind of Mediterranean lifestyle, or just not really having to jump around so much and jump through hoops, and just having less stress. The problem in Italy is the bureaucracy will be at the stress, but slower pace of life, very attractive from a tax perspective for those people at a certain category, very attractive if you just want to have that dream home that you always thought of. I mean, there's, we've all seen the movies there. And then on the last aspect, knowing that you can have a very well-priced residency option, which is the Dolce visa, which is the Italian golden visa, and knowing that you can get in pretty early and come out pretty early as well. So again, you'll be in and out within about like 4 to 6 months, could be a little bit less than that. So maybe Italy's on your radar, or maybe you want to contact us and say, look, I don't really want Italy. I want to have a bit more freedom where I can kind of chop and change between 2, 3, 4 countries. We can also take care of that. But I think if you were to find any country that had all of these metrics in one place, look, I'm obviously very pro Dubai. It's done amazing things for me and my family, but I also know that it's not everyone's cup of tea. So if you want to hear me ranting more about all of this political upheaval that we're facing all around the world, and have been, and we will continue to see, LinkedIn is probably where I'm talking the most. I actually posted a lot in Italy stuff there recently as well. So I'll be more active on other channels in 2026, but for now you can find me there. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.